Plenty of victims. Online dating. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. Many of you are here because you've been caught by a narcissist. Many of you who have been caught by a narcissist found yourself being ensnared in a romantic entanglement that has left you with particular problems. Whether you found yourself in a full-blooded relationship where you moved in together, became married, had children, or whether you had an affair with a narcissist that you found yourself in the position of what I describe as the intimate partner secondary source. The person on the outside, always waiting for that call, waiting for moments that you could spend with the narcissist. The fact is, either interaction in the romantic setting has a considerable impact upon people. Often, combined with all of this, there is the loss of self-respect, loss of self-confidence, the loss of relationships, sometimes the loss of relationships with your own children. Money is often lost as a consequence of these romantic entanglements. And whilst the narcissist can appear in so many different fields, it remains the case that the romantic entanglement is the one which causes the greatest level of harm. I've repeatedly made it clear to people that they fail to undertake much due diligence that they should do with the same level of care that they would do with the purchase of a property. You should watch my video, The Greatest Investment You Will Ever Make, to understand more about that. And it's also worthwhile to utilize that video to pass to perhaps younger people who are just about embarking upon romantic liaisons and dating. I've repeatedly explained how my kind love the online environment, that since the onset of social media, the internet and online dating, it has proved such a fertile hunting ground for us. And if you want to know and understand just how well we utilize that environment, you should watch my online dating horror show, The Dangers of Online Dating, Dangerous and Unstable, and Why You Should Not Use Online Dating, so that you fully understand what a viper's nest you are entering into. And to drive the message home, I'm providing you with a further examination of the conduct of an individual that has utilized online dating as a hunting ground, not only in terms of disappointing people romantically, but also for the purpose of defrauding those individuals by taking money from them by way of residual benefit. Asma Lakdawala writes in the Times about an individual called David Checkley. It relates to his use of the Plenty of Fish dating website, or Plenty of Victims, as it ought to be known, because it is another hunting ground and perhaps one of the worst, because it ostensibly costs people nothing to utilize it, thus meaning the quality of individuals to be found upon there leaves something rather lacking. And also, as you're about to hear, it provides another opportunity for a narcissist to come along and be both love fraud and financial fraud. When Angela Montana met David Cohen on the Plenty of Fish dating website, she hoped to have hooked a long-term soulmate. Emotional thinking. She was told that he was a wealthy Jewish-American architect who travelled the world, sharing her strong ethical values, mirroring, and loved the two children he had with an heiress of the LG Electronics empire. Naturally, lies, revision of history, triangulation. Their first date was at Café Rouge in Southgate, North London, in January 2020. They met twice more before Cohen persuaded her to take a leap of faith by lending him £3,200 residual benefit, saying he was on a business trip to Dubai. When he failed to repay the money as promised and asked for a further £400,000, Montana, 63, a businesswoman from North London, became suspicious and began investigating. The tangled web of lies she uncovered has helped to expose almost 40 years of deceit, in which the serial romance fraudster is believed to have conned more than 60 women. Montana alerted police after discovering Cohen, under his real name David Checkley, was jailed in 2010 for a remarkably similar series of cons: criminality, lack of accountability. In fact, he had been operating since the 1980s, and one fraud resulted in murder. At the Old Bailey this week, Checkley, aged 65, was jailed for 11 years for defrauding 10 middle-aged women. The case has parallels with the story of Simon Leviev, 33, who became renowned last year through the Netflix documentary The Tinder Swindler. And indeed, I'd encourage you to watch my videos about the Tinder Swindler and his victims. There's a fascinating analysis of his behaviour. He used the dating site to find women, hunting ground, to finance his luxury lifestyle on the pretext he was escaping his enemies, triangulation. Pity play. Leviev is a newcomer to romance fraud compared with Checkley, who has been described as the man with the golden tongue. Romance fraud has been one of the fastest growing categories of fraud, aided by the use of internet dating sites, i.e., capitalized upon by many narcissists for the purposes of the pursuit of the prime aims. The National Fraud Intelligence Bureau received 8,036 reports of romance fraud, amounting to more than £92 million in the last financial year. It's not only the case that your heart might be broken, your bank balance certainly will be. The average loss per victim was £11,500. Checkley had not waited long after being released from his 2010 prison sentence to find new victims. His profile on Plenty of Fish was the perfect lure for often vulnerable women looking for a solvent man to share the rest of their lives. It helps that he has a striking resemblance to the Hollywood actor Joe Morton. The first victim was Valerie Thompson, 46, a glamorous singer who met Checkley via Plenty of Fish in 2017. Over the following 4 years, she lent him £8,639, believing it would be used to buy their family home, triangulation, future faking. Checkley, from St Albans in Hertfordshire, explained his frequent absences, shelving dynamic, by claiming to be travelling the world for work. Lie. Designing palaces for kings and princes in the Middle East. Lie. In fact, it was a ruse to cover his multiple other relationships. Narcissist, juggling various intimate partner secondary sources. He claimed to have been born in the United States. Lie. And been a pilot with the US Air Force, serving in the war in Vietnam. Lie, which ended when he was 17. His passport records, or rather his passport records, his birthplace as the Caribbean island of Grenada. Candice Francis, 56, met Checkley in person only once for breakfast in Richmond, southwest London. He charmed her into lending him £2,750. Residual benefit. Anna English, 61, lent Checkley £30,000. Residual benefit, having opened 7 credit card accounts to raise the money. Susan Austin, 63, met Checkley in November 2018. He persuaded her to pay a £2,000 deposit on a Rolex watch, claiming he needed it urgently for a family engagement to replace a timepiece given to him by his father that had been stolen. Pity play, triangulation. He pawned the watch the next day for £2,000, while she was left paying off the outstanding £5,250 bill. Lisa Johansson, 60, who is Danish, met Checkley in February 2018. She lent him £15,700 over 3 years. In one message she pleaded, "I've not got money for bills, rent, food or petrol. Please can you manage to pay back £300? He stole an eternity ring she had inherited from her mother. Theft, sense of entitlement, lack of emotional empathy. The loans led to Johansson becoming homeless and having to support herself by visiting food banks. She described becoming a recluse, has vowed never to have another partner, and feels her own sons are ashamed of her. Checkley impressed his victims with tales of his exotic life, exaggeration, a generous heart and devotion to his children, triangulation, cognitive empathy. He told Amanda Parkin, 63, that he made his first million from running bootlegged alcohol while in the US Air Force. Exaggeration, revision of history. He claimed to still be an Air Force instructor. Parkin lent in £130 when he explained he lost his credit card because he was wrongly arrested while protecting a resident at the Women's Refuge where he did voluntary work from being assaulted by a violent partner. Lie, revision of history. In addition to the Chinese LG heiress, Checkley's fantasy former wives included the cousin of the Hollywood actor Lucy Liu and an American billionaire. Their children were hospital consultants, barristers, and a DJ. Revision of history. He had numerous properties, including a £3.2 million mansion in Barnet, North London, which would become the family home for his lovers. Kay Olivier, 64, met Checkley for lunch in the City of London in January 2019. She went on to lend him £45,000, residual benefit, before discovering his true identity. While the women suffered financial and emotional turmoil, Checkley enjoyed a playboy lifestyle. He bought a collection of Mercedes cars and Harley-Davidson motorcycles, residual benefits. Their personalised number plates included the letters GIG to represent his purported property investment company, Greater Income Group Limited. Checkley's previous convictions for romance fraud dating back to 1987. In 2002, he was jailed for 5 years after luring the Channel 4 presenter Mark Levy into a deal to buy fake Rolex watches that led to the one-time comedian's death. He was acquitted of Levy's murder. At Bristol Crown Court, Checkley was jailed in 2010 for 6 years and 10 months, having admitted to conning 10 women out of £163,000 and 191. Police believe there were 20 other victims. As Checkley spends his birthday behind bars, there is at least some comfort that single women looking for love are safe for a few years. Once again, a narcissist at work, demonstrating a sense of entitlement, a lack of emotional empathy, a lack of accountability, grandiosity, magical thinking, haughty behaviours, and a range of manipulative behaviours alongside the narcissistic dynamic. Of course, all of these victims might have picked up on it sooner if they had been aware of the relevant red flags of his behaviour, that they know what a narcissist was and how a narcissist would behave. The fact is that he, as a narcissist, would draw these individuals in, love-bombing them and charming them, and then utilising the control that he had over these individuals who were desperate for love, to turn that to his advantage in a financial manner by fleecing them of money. The fact is that time and time again, these individuals utilise the love bombing, the explanation that they are going to come into money at a future point, future faking, and therefore they will be in a position to pay the individual back. There'll invariably be some kind of sob story revolving around how they've suffered some kind of misfortune. With Simon Leviev, he was being persecuted by persons unseen. With Checkley, it was more of a case that he'd done good deeds for other people but found himself in a difficult position. Individuals need to be far warier, that they need to be educated on the red flags and to see that how these individuals who engage in breaking people's hearts are also looking to take the contents of their bank accounts also. These individuals, invariably targeted as middle-aged women who may well be lonely but often are in a fairly decent financial position, become a target for individuals such as Checkley. His narcissism drives him to identify these individuals, that he's able to instinctively pick out those people who are most susceptible to his overtures, those that are likely to be blinded by emotional thinking. He's been caught on this occasion, but he has caused considerable damage to many people, as described in the article. It just goes to show once again how the online dating environment, this time Plenty of Fish, is somewhere that simply offers up plenty of victims for a narcissist. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.